welcome to another weekly Synergy Speaker Series. We have a great guest today, Anthony Menard, who's done a fabulous job as the middle school principal. So he's going to talk in a little bit about communication. So without further ado, we'll hand the floor over to Anthony.
First of all, it's great to meet you guys. You know, I love meeting people, and I love trying to figure out what makes people tick. So Brandon, one of the first things I'm going to talk to everybody about is, Brandon,
yeah, I get it.
Is really good eye contact. So eye contact is a sign that you're mature, and since we're all men here, with the exception of you, so it's a sign that you know how to act like a young man. I'm also going to take a little bit of a risk here. I don't know what the rules are of Synergy. I'm guessing it's a little different than where I operate from, but we're going to take our hats off in here. Because unless you had a bad haircut, I don't think you did. Your hair looks really good. I think part of being a man, and I appreciate you guys work with me on this because I wasn't sure what you were going to do. A part of being a young man is understanding that when you're in a particular setting, the rules change. So there's the way you can talk and act on the street or with your friends or in your house when you're playing video games that is totally acceptable one. And then there's ways you got to act in a particular setting. So I've heard a few people, this is their last day, so I'm assuming that means you're going on to graduating?
Correct.
All right, that's great. Congratulations. Now you enter the real world. And a few things happen for you in the real world. But one of the things is you need to continue your education, you enter the military, or perhaps you're going to get a job, or you're going to become a mechanic, you're going to become a hairdresser. You're going to do something what I call a professional job. There's jobs, and then there's professional jobs. So I'm going to give you a little insight about me so you kind of know what I'm about. Because I think as you start to look at me, you try to figure out, well, what's this guy all about? He's got a nice yellow tie on. He's got suede. This is actually the first time I've worn these shoes all year. These are not my typical shoes. You see these suede shoes? They're kind of, a little risky. I don't know what you think about it, but usually I'm a black suit or a gray suit type person. Very simple, but today I wanted to dress down a little bit. But so for me, I was very fortunate to have really two hard-working parents who never went to college. Who were one was my father was a construction worker, my mother was a secretary, Brandon, and there was not one. I mean, it's really interesting. There was not one book in my house growing up except one. You guys know what book was in my house growing up? Take a guess. There's only one.
Flat Stanley.
Pardon me?
Flat Stanley.
No, I read that to my kids, though. Pretty interesting. The Bible? The Bible. So the only book in my house growing up was the Bible. My parents never read to me, although they were really great parents and were there for everything and worked hard. And they fed me and gave me clothes and gave me character. And that never read to me growing up, ever. It just wasn't what they did. So when I got married and we had kids, I have 4 kids. I have a 9th grader, a 7th grader, a 5th grader, and a 4th grader, boy, girl. As my wife started reading stories to my kids, she's like, oh, you know this story like Flat Stanley or whatever. I never knew that story. I had to go through that whole process with my own children to kind of get a sense of what these stories all meant. But I had good, solid people in my life. And some of you have solid people. It might be your parents. It might be a coach. It might be a teacher, maybe an aunt or uncle, or somebody that you can lean on. How many of you have one person in your family or extended family that you really trust or you know you can lean on? Raise your hand if you have one. That's good. Having one is important, and if you don't have one, you have to work towards getting that. But I was fortunate to have a person or people in my life that helped me with that. And my father was a man's man. You know what that means, being a man's man?
A gentleman.
He was a gentleman. That's correct.
I heard that term before. I forgot where I heard it from, but ain't it like a man's man? I heard that from somewhere. Yo, I forgot. I'm sorry, my bad.
What my father valued and what he judged a person on was A, do they get up and go to work every day? That was number one. And then number 2, do they take care of their family? All right, so my father at a young age told me never take a Monday off or a Friday off. Okay, this doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but when people work, they like to take Mondays off or Fridays off because that gives them a 3-day weekend, And when you work someday, when you guys have a really good job, you actually get paid for what we call sick days. So think about this. When you get a really good job, you get 15 sick days a year or 10 sick days a year where you don't feel good, you don't go to work, you still get paid. How cool is that? You love that, right? Any of you have a job right now? Where do you work?
CDI Corporation.
Okay. You get paid by the hour?
No, I pay monthly.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Based on the amount of days you work?
No, I don't know.
You don't know. Well, get a job at McDonald's, right? Show up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You get paid for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You don't show up Friday, you don't get paid Friday.
Yeah.
When you get a professional job, you get paid on that Friday that you don't work. All right. So it's really Juan. It's really like pretty neat, like that you get these sick days. But what I was taught early, my parents didn't teach me how to read, but what they did teach me is you go to work every day. And your honor and your value and how you represent yourself as a young man, as a family member, Brandon, comes down to your work ethic. So work ethic is really, really important. And what I call one percenters. You know what a one percenter is? That's the person who's willing to be different than the 99% of the people that exist. So most of you dress the same way, you walk the same way, you talk the same way, your haircuts are somewhat the same, but yet you all want to be different. But really what you're doing is following what everybody else is doing one. Okay? We're human beings. Most of us do that. But to be the 1% means what's that?
Your personality.
Your personality, your character, the choices you make are different. And that's hard to do. But you know, to be secure with yourself as a young man, you have to be willing to be a 1%er. So I'll give you an example. We go to a party, me and Steven, all right? Go to a party. And there's always bad things at a party, right? And we're all tempted as human beings. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be decisions we make with friends. And 3 or 4 young men decided to do A, whatever the A is. But we know A is wrong. And you've heard this your whole life. The person who's the 1%er can say, you 3 go ahead, I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
And they can live with that. Now, everybody says yeah. Everybody says yeah, but in my lifetime, I've met very few people who are willing to go against the grain, Juan, for what's right. For what's right. So your ability to go against the grain for what is right starts to define you as a person. And to know what's right means you have to understand what is right for you. So what are characteristics that make you a solid person? Number 1, how hard you're willing to work. Okay? Do you think right now people in this school value hard work?
Mm-hmm.
Kids. Do you see most kids value hard work or no?
Depends.
A certain amount of people, not exactly so
Majority.
much, because there's a lot of foolish around.
A lot of what?
Fooling around.
Yep.
And there's people just talking to their friends or whatever and just being sidetracked.
Yep.
From their work, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And there's a small group of people who are just doing actually their work and knowing what they got to do.
It's a really good answer, Alfredo. So some people value work, and you know who they are, and some people don't value work, right? You're like, they're clowning around. Sometimes it's you who's clowning around,
Yeah.
right? And you understand the difference. So I would say number 1 is it's how your value of work, and you're willing to work and be different. Everybody wants something for nothing. Everybody. Everybody wants to play in the NBA. Nobody wants to train. Everybody wants to be the starting quarterback. Nobody wants to lift weights. Everybody wants to make a lot of money. Nobody wants to study and go to college. So there's a difference between this is what I want versus this is what I'm willing to do. And the beauty about life really is this. At your age, the world is in front of you, and you can decide where you're going to be in 5 years, and it's going to go by like that. And you either are going to work for it, or 5 or 6 years from now, unfortunately, if you don't make good decisions and you don't work, you're going to be at home. It's going to be around 12:30. You're going to be rolling out of bed. You're going to find something to eat at your house, and you're going to play video games. Or you have something in place. You're finishing up some classwork, you're going to a job, you're driving your own car, you're paying your own bills. Pretty scary stuff. So that line separates you. But I can tell you, remember this. 5 or 6 years from now, you're going to be doing one of 2 things. I'll restate this one, because I know sometimes this sinks in and sometimes it doesn't. 5 or 6 years from now, when you're 24 or 25 or 26 or whatever you are, you're doing one of 2 things. Rolling out of bed, one. Rolling out of bed. I'll say it again. Just waking up in the middle of playing video games. okay? Getting something to eat. That's one group. Or on your way to your job, finishing up school, driving your own car, wearing your own clothes, and possibly moved out of your own house. 10 years from now, you're in your 30s. Same thing. Rolling out of bed at this point in time. One. Rolling out of bed, okay? Playing video games, possibly eating food, or solid job, wife, family, provider, man. Okay? That's 10 years from now. So as you sit here at 18 years old thinking that the world owes you something, I have news for you, Alfredo. The world owes you 0. 1. The world will give you 0. They won't give you anything. You have to absolutely go out and work for everything you get. That's number 1. So I go back to my story. No education, right? Father worked construction every day. No reading in my house. I happened to be okay in school. Not great. Look at me. You look at me and think, oh, this guy was really good. No, school did not come easily to me. Had to work at it. Had some good teachers. Had a couple good coaches. Had a couple people get me on the right track. And next thing you know, one thing leads to another. I happen to make good choices. I'm no better than you. Mr. Ahaus is no better than you. What's your last name?
Figueroa.
No better than you, but we made decisions at the time. You're making decisions right now that set our course, Juan. And if we don't make those decisions, our course goes into another direction. It really does. So you have to learn how to work really hard to get what you want. Everybody says it. Few people do it. Number 2, you have to learn how to communicate. And this is the sort of the origin of this thing. So when I walk in this room and I see guys like this, and I see this, and I see guys staring against the wall, and I see your inability to make eye contact, I size you up immediately. I can tell you almost everything about you, just how you sit here right now. I also can tell how hard you're willing to work just by watching every move you make. So every time I have a job opening, and this is how hard it is to get a job, either a teaching job, a custodian, to be a secretary, to be a nurse, I have 100 applicants for every job, 100. People begging to get a job. Begging to get a job. You know why? It's a good job. You get good money. You get benefits. Anyone know what benefits there are?
Insurance.
Insurance. So you break your arm, someone pays for it.
Healthcare.
And then you get those sick days. Remember we talked about the sick days? You actually get paid when you're sick. All right? So when we have a job, people beg for these things. And when they come into a job interview, they're like this. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Number 1, they know how to shake someone's hand. All right? So you have to know how to do this. This seems like a small detail, but you have to know how to do this. And most kids, when I shake their hand, they go like this. That's called dead fish. All right? 2 things you do when you leave this room. Every time you see someone, this is how you're going to shake their hand. You're going to do a firm handshake, and you're going to look them right in the eyes. All right? Just like this. You're going to let them know that you have a presence. You know what a presence means? What does that mean?
Like, you're present. Like you're honored to be here. Like,
Yes, both of you are correct, but you have an ability to impose who you are onto someone. There's something different. You know, like when you never notice when someone walks in the room, and you're like, wow, that guy hasn't talked, or that girl hasn't talked yet, but there's something different about him. You ever see someone like that?
Yeah.
All right, do you think when someone walks in like this? What time is it? Is that a presence?
Nah.
No.
It is, but
It's a bad one. It's a bad one. You like, this guy's a clown. This guy's not a man, this guy's a clown. So when you walk into a room, you have to walk, and you could be tall, short, good looking, doesn't matter. Not good looking, good dresser, not good dresser. None of that stuff matters. You have to have an ability. Nice to meet you. Okay? Right there. Right away, his presence changed. Now that's hard work. Because sometimes you're in a bad mood and you don't want to have a presence. Or you don't want to talk to me. Or maybe you just don't like me. But when it's time to go game time, and game time is when you're trying to be professional, and you're trying to get a job, and you're trying to do good things, you got to have a presence. You understand that? So, how you doing? What's your name? Dead fish handshake. We're going to do that again. I'm not hiring you. On that alone, I'm not hiring you. No, see, that's that. Okay? But that alone cost you a job. So, how you doing? What's your name? All right, a little firmer. Right there. Nice to meet you. Now, you have talent. I can tell this guy's a talented kid. Right? He's got a little charisma.
Yeah.
You know? And this is, I just met you. There's something good, but you also want to play the clown game a little bit too. So you got to decide who you want to be. The clown game's easy. The man game comes harder, all right? How you doing? Nice to meet you. See, there's this, and then there's this, right here. See, right here. Nice. What's your name?
Israel.
Israel. Nice to meet you, Israel.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay. What's your name?
Alfredo.
Alfredo. Nice to meet you. Juan? Yep. Nice to meet you. Okay. That's number one in communication. It's not even talking. It's your eyes and it's your hands. Look at me. How important is that? I'll tell you right now. I can eliminate 90% of the people in the world for a job based on that alone. You do this, done. I don't need that. No, I'm trying to give you an example of done. Done. You understand? That's how important that is. So when you go for a job or you meet somebody, you have to have presence. You have to make eye contact. Huge eye contact. And you have to be different. Now, most kids who think they're really, really tough, they melt under pressure. Here's what happens. In a setting like this or in my school, when the heat gets on, and you don't like what Mr. Outhouse did, you think your teacher was wrong, and they gotta walk up and down the hallway with you. Come on, Joe. F this, F. Okay, come on, Joe. Please don't swear. But do you think they do that at a job at a bank?
Nope.
Do they do that in the White House?
No.
Do they do that in a police department with other police officers? As soon as you do that stuff, they say, hey, okay, you know what? Go get representation, lawyer, union representation. Go get somebody, because we're going to look to fire you. Okay? So this stuff that you see here, although Mr. Outhouse is doing a great job, this doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. Do we understand that? Now, part of being here is you have to work through these things, which you're doing. But as you leave today, and you leave today, and you leave today, right? Anybody else leaving? It's over. Nobody's following you down the hallway and saying, come on, just don't swear as loud. You can swear, but just don't swear as loud. Hey, kid, no problem. Here, just come over here and stand here for a couple minutes. Nothing's going on. Don't worry about it. He's fine. He's fine. Doesn't exist. It's over. So the second you walk, so I get one good swear in today in the hallway. No, I'm kidding around. But the second you leave here and you walk out of here, it's over. Now it's on you. So we talked about being strong with the work ethic. Remember I talked about working? Don't be a Monday man. Don't be a Friday man. Make sure when you have a job, you go there. Make sure that you are responsible for where you say you're going to be. Like, I'm going to be there at 9. Don't show up at 9:15. Show up at 8:45. Nobody wants this. The world is too competitive. There's too many talented people out there. All right? There's people with have college degrees that can't get jobs. That's how hard it is to get a job right now. So work hard. Be an excellent communicator with your eyes and your hands. Have you said a word yet?
Nah.
No. Now we talk about your mouth. Most powerful thing in the world, believe it or not, is your tongue. You know why your tongue is powerful? Other than, you can pull a truck with it. Some people can actually tie something to their tongue and pull a truck. Do you know why your tongue is powerful?
It's a muscle.
If you speak with confidence, it shows good presentation.
Yeah, okay. When you speak with confidence, no question, it's a good presentation. But the tongue is the only issue you have in the world right now. Every issue, from wars to the smallest little fight that occurs in this building, has to do with what somebody said. Think about that. Every issue you have has to do with what comes out of your mouth, good or bad. So when you talk about somebody and it gets back to them and gets back to you, that causes you a major problem. When you're disrespectful to a teacher or your parents, that causes you a problem. When Barack Obama talks junk to the Middle East, guess what? That causes us a problem. Barack Obama says, listen, you guys do one more thing and we're going to bomb you. Guess what that means?
War.
Could be a war. And he didn't raise a finger, he just spoke it. Your tongue and what comes out of your mouth and the way you communicate is critical. You have to guard your words very closely. You have to think about what you say, all right? And you have to make sure that what you say is the truth. Understand? And if you're not sure, then don't say it. And before you talk about Mr. House behind his back, stop yourself. Be different. Be a 1%er, a person that goes against the grain and doesn't do that stuff. Because your communication verbally is critical. So 3 things we talked about, and I think they tie into communication. Number 1 is how hard are you willing to work at your habits. Number 2, body language, eyes, hands, and then lastly, what comes out of your mouth. All right, and how you talk. And now, here's the hard part. Putting it together. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Standing straight up. Yes, I can do that. No problem. Need help? I'll take care of it. Very hard to put it all together. Now, the second you suck your teeth or roll your eyes, done. Real world, done. Synergy, they're going to walk up and down the hallway with you. They're going to pat you on the back. They're going to rub you. You might get a massage. Okay? All right? Take off your feet and give you a foot rub because they're trying to get you to that point. Really what they're trying to do is extend your shelf life here as long as possible. Because before they unleash you to the real world, they're saying that's a beautiful kid here, that's a smart, that's a talented kid, that's a hard-working kid, that's a kid with good presence. Boy, we can't send him out yet because if we send him out to the real world too early, it's going to be really hard for him to make the right decision. So you know what Synergy does for you? Extend your life as long as possible so that we hope that you have enough skills to survive and then advance. Survival is bare minimum, and advance is choosing the life you want. Very, very different things here. So survival skills are getting by, and advancement is I'm going to get by and get a college degree. I'm going to get by and become a mechanic. I'm going to get by and open up my own business. I'm going to get by and join the military and do something productive with my life. I'm going to get by and have a job where I go to work every day. I'm going to get by and own my own car. I'm going to be able to get married, have kids, and take care of my wife. How many of you want to do that someday? You don't want to get married? Okay. You don't? Who wants to have kids here? Okay. All right. 4 of you. 4 of you. So to do that is huge responsibility, right? And you want to be that man that your daughter or son looks up to beyond belief. And if what you're doing today doesn't fit that mold, and we all have a lot of work to do, you have to start working towards that. And that comes with the price of hard work. Any questions about this?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I was told as like growing up, my mom would say, whenever I get a job, think of how I'm gonna like either be late or be on time. My mom would think of this in her head. She would say, when you're on time, when you're early, you're on time. When you're late, you're fired. And that's kept through my mind. And I think about like getting just jobs, and I've applied to multiple, but I haven't gotten calls or whatever. And I've thought of like actual ways to like always present. So an example is my brother. He missed his first interview, and he got another chance to get another one. So it's also on how you dress, because he wasn't dressed properly. He was dressed with like a hoodie, jeans, like wasn't even like fresh or anything. He went with his friend. So it's also on how you're.
Yeah, I didn't even get to that part. And there's a lot that goes into this, and here's a good thing, is nobody expects you guys to have this all down like that. But I can tell you what we do expect. We expect that you work towards this, and you think about it. You know, I'm a very different man at 44 than I was at 34. And I'm very different at 34 than at 24. Okay? At 24, I didn't know anything. I mean, I don't know if I know anything right now. No, I'm just kidding around. But at 24, I definitely did not know anything. And I watched people that were successful. I looked at people and said, I want to do what that guy can do. I want to figure out what makes him different. and I listened to people that I thought knew what they were doing. Unlike some of you, listening is really, listening, I didn't even get into listening as part of communication. You don't listen, you don't observe people and say, like if I'm looking at this guy, I don't know him very well, but he's a good looking guy, he's cool. How old are you?
28.
28. I'm looking at him saying, all right, this guy's got something together. I'm not sure what it is, but he's making good money. He's driving a car. You live in a house or apartment?
An apartment.
Lives in an apartment. You pay your own rent, or does your mom pay it?
I pay my own
He
rent.
pays his own rent. All right. Probably's got a really good-looking girlfriend. I'm saying this guy's figured something out, and instead of fighting this guy, I'm gonna figure out what does he know that I don't know. Like that's what I'm not sure you guys do. I always knew who was talented. You know, I always knew. Like you know, Mr. Quinnell, the superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at the high school, he was like 22 years old when he first got hired. And I watched that guy for like a week or two, and he was like a little kid, wet behind the ears, you know, bebopping around. And I said to myself, that's a talented young kid right there. Now, what he did and what he became, he earned. You know what his dad did for a living growing up? Mr. Quinnell, what his dad did? He was a carpenter. You know what a carpenter is? Top of a roof, built houses. Do you know that he wasn't even going to college? He was working on a roof with his father. And he got accepted at UConn. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do what you do. I'm going to be a carpenter. His father said, no, you go do something different. You're smart. Go to college. He goes, I don't want to go to college. His father said, go to college. You know, try it out. He goes, okay. That's how things change. So you look at someone like Mr. Quinnell, you're like, wow, man, that guy, he's so smart. He speaks well. He does. But there was a process to get there. He didn't, at 21, do what he's doing right now. And so I think what's important for you is look at people who are successful and look at people who aren't, and say, okay, I'm going to eliminate those people from my life. You know, I'm going to be respectful to them, but that's not who I want to hang out with. I'm going to figure out who's doing this stuff right. People that are doing it right, I want to touch them. I want to feel them. I want to be around them. I want to see what they do. And that's not being someone who's kissing up to them. That's being smart. There's a difference. All right? Any other questions? You sure? How old are you?
18. 17.
17. So you have about a 5-year window right now to really start to construct who you're going to be. You know, and you're going to make mistakes, but you got a good 5 or 6 years. And this is the truth now. Like I have a son who's 14. When he's 18 or 19, I'm going to say the same thing to him. You have about 5 or 6 years to build your reputation, to get good skills, to learn how to communicate, to learn how to work, and then you're 24, 25. And if you're not where you want to be, it's not over, but it's trouble time. It's big trouble. And that 6 years will fly by. And I don't care what you do. Whatever you choose to do, be a good person, work hard, and be the best you can be at it. All right? There's no perfect job, but there is a way to impact the world, impact people around you, you all those things. You guys have enough stories around you. People who don't do it the right way, be the one learns, and so she's a human being, so she's starting to put dots together. What does that all mean? Am I kind of right or wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
You're right.
That's what happens. That's how the world works. And every time we hear things, we figure out what makes someone tick. And maybe she learned something new about Mr. Quinnell. Did you know that his father was a carpenter? No. And she's like, wow, that's really interesting. And she walked away saying, I never knew that Mr. Quinnell's father was a carpenter. I just figured he was, who knows what. And so that's the process of learning and growing. The good news is, it's great if your parents are really talented, but most successful people, their parents weren't. They really weren't. So Barack Obama, you know what his mother made him do every morning? Anyone know? Father wasn't around. You know what his mother made him do every morning?
Clean.
Worse.
Read.
Yeah. 4:30 in the morning. She used to wake him up before school and he would read for 2 hours. Now, have you ever heard him speak? Barack Obama or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Whether you like his political views or not, let's understand one thing. The guy can speak, right? One, so you don't just get up in a podium in front of 50 million people and speak without there being a ton of work to that. It's not like someone went, poof, you can do that, Barack. All right? I wish it was that easy. If I had that power, I'd give it all to you right now. He read forever, and he became a person who was well-rounded and smart and literate, and then that's the culmination of a lot of things there. It didn't happen by accident. It makes something that's easier if you understand. You look at it, and as talented as LeBron James are, there's a bunch of 6'9" guys out there that can run, jump, and they have muscles. There's a bunch of them. He's just, what separates him is he works at it. All right? Any questions?
Round of applause for Mr. Menard. Autographs will be available from Tuesday. No.
Hey, listen, good luck to you guys. You guys all have a good look about you. You really do. I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. You have a good look about you, and there's something in your eyes that tell me that you really want to try to do good things, to do good things. It's just a struggle. And all I can tell you, Juan, is that struggle will always be there, even for anybody. Just develop who you are as a person, make good decisions. And if you don't think it's a good decision, don't do it. And then over time, things will start to go your way. But I didn't say this. I will guarantee you, you are going to fail at a lot of things. And I don't mean a grade, just in life. You're going to fail a ton. Matter of fact, if you don't fail, then you're not trying anything. So if you're sitting in your house, watching TV, waking up at 12:30, and eating bombs, you're not going to fail. But if you're actually trying to get a job, you may get rejected 100 times before someone gives you a job. Okay? That's okay. Failure, embrace it. The best people in the world fail a lot. Do you guys understand that? What do I mean by that? You're going to fail a lot. What is that? What's that?
Learn from your mistakes.
Learn from your mistakes. Learn from rejection. Learn from no. Okay? Someday, those no's and those setbacks will make you even a better person. They really will. Okay? All right.
I appreciate how you called everything.
There's actually there's a bundle of nerves in the back of your brain called the reticular formation, and what that does is, I'm going to give you a little boring thing here. Like, put your feet on the ground right now. Can you feel your feet touching the ground? You can right now, right? I just made you aware of that. All right, so you can feel and hear. You hear that noise back there? Can you hear that? You hear the drip? So our brain hears all this at once, but has an ability to distill what's not important to us. And that's called the reticular formation. It's a bundle of nerves in the back of your brain. Because if we were so in tune to every little thing, we would go mad. Like, you understand? Like, all of a sudden now, you keep hearing that water, right? You hear it?
Well, now I do.
Yeah. So, like, now I brought that to your attention. The reason I say that is when you want to remember something, you have to make it important to your brain. So you have to, like, if I want to know someone's name, I have to actually think about it, process it, and make that important. Or my brain will discard it automatically. Because it'll say, not important, discard, not important, discard, not important, discard. Problem is, you guys discard everything. Okay? Except the girlfriend's phone number or something like that. You have to figure out what's important and start to remember it and make it important to you. Okay?
Well, I'd love to keep going. We have a dismissal coming up, and more importantly, Edgardo, as a tribute to the students who are graduating or transferring schools, has a cake, and then we have some